Good morning, students. I hope you all are ready for this online class. So, first of all, let me revise your previous online class topics. In your previous online class topic, you have learned about the Chandragupta Maurya, his conquest of Punjab and Magad. Chandragupta Maurya became the first ruler of the Mauryan dynasty in 305 BC. He defeated Seleucus. The territories of Herat, Kabul, and Kandahar were added to the Mauryan Empire. So, this was the extent of the Mauryan Empire and how the Mauryan Empire was founded by Chandragupta Maurya. Then, the greatness of the Chandragupta Maurya, he ruled for about 25 years. Kautilya guided Chandragupta Maurya through his life, and from Kautilya's Shastra, we gain a lot of knowledge about the Mauryan administration and life of the people. Indica of Megasthenes is another source of information of the Mauryans. So today I will start with the topic King Bindusara. King Bindusara was the son of Chandragupta Maurya. So after the death of Chandragupta Maurya, King Bindusara sat on the throne. As Chandragupta Maurya was succeeded by his son Bindusara, he reigned for 27 years. And what is the time period? 300 BC to 273 BC. Very little is known of him from literary sources, nor is an monument or inscriptions of his time known. But it is probably that he continued his father's career of conquest within the borders of India. Means very less information was given about the Chandragupta Maurya's son Bindusara, but no doubt he is not very popular in history. He is popular, but his information is very less. But he followed the path of his father related to the conquest. The early Tamil poets mention Mauryan chariots racing across the land. So what they had mentioned? They had mentioned the chariot racing. Therefore, some scholars have suggested that the annexation of the Deccan was effected during Bindusara's region. The scholars said that the annexation of Deccan was effected during the Bindusara's region. It gained under the control of the Bindusara. Then, Greek historians tell us that friendly relationships between India and the Greek powers, and Greek historians had also written records related to the Mauryan dynasty. So they describe that there was a good relationship between India and Greek for the trading purpose as well as for other relationships. Then powers continue unbroken throughout the region of the Bindusara. Means under the knowledge and under the guidance of Bindusara, Greek and India had good friendly relationship. Accordingly, Megasthenes was replaced by Damachos as an ambassador to the Mauryan court. So, Megasthenes was at the time of Chandragupta Maurya, and at the time of Bindusara, Damachos was the ambassador of Greek in the court of Mauryans. Now we will learn about Ashoka, and the time period of Ashoka is between 273 BC to 232 BC. So Ashoka was the third and the most enlightened ruler of the Mauryan dynasty. He was the greatest ruler. He reigned in the 3rd century BC. But says B.G. Gokhale, he lives with us today in the wheel on our national flag and the lines on our state seal. Such is his influence on history. So, according to the historian B.G. Gokhale, describes about his life that his region was during the time of the 3rd BC, but till today Ashoka lives with us. How he lives with us? He lives with the sign of a wheel in a national flag, and the line on our state seal. So this is the position of Ashoka in our today's life. As a young prince, Ashoka had a charge of Ujjain as its victory governor. When revolt took place in Takshila during the region of King Bindusara, okay, so Ashoka became the governor of Ujjain, and when revolt took place at Takshila, Bindusara sent Ashoka to crush the defeat. Then Ashoka was sent there to crush it. It was one of several sons, and he was selected as Yuvraj or crown prince on account of his ability for the imperial throne. So, who was selected as the crown prince? Ashoka was selected as the crown prince. And why he was selected as the crown prince? Because of his ability and the imperial throne. As he was the greatest one, he was very good in the skill of wars and administration. That is why he was selected as the crown prince. Then we'll see the Kalinga War, as it is the most important point in Ashoka's life. Ashoka led for a few years the life of an ordinary monarch. So few years he was just an ordinary monarch. It was in the year 261 BC that Ashoka decided to add Kalinga. At present it is Orissa, okay, to add Kalinga to his already vast dynasty, okay, or empire. He wanted to add Kalinga also in his empire in 261 BC. The opposition offered to this invasion was so stiff that the conquest involved immeasurable destruction. Because the Kalinga king was also very strong, so it was very difficult for Ashoka to defeat him, and that is why more and more people were involved and more things were involved in the war. So, near about 1,50,000 persons were carried into the captivity. Means 1,50,000 people were died. So, near about 1,50,000 persons were carried into the captivity, and 1 lakh were slain, means were killed, and that many times that number perished from famine and other calamities. Means those who were left, they were also killed by the famine or other natural disasters. Now we will see about its consequences. The Kalinga War was the turning point of Ashoka's career. Okay, it was a turning point of Ashoka's career. All this misery awakens in the heart the feeling of profound sorrow and regret. So, all these things which were seen by Ashoka in the battlefield, he saw that the battlefield was full of blood. He saw that so many people were killed in the battle. So, this has awakened his heart the feeling of profound sorrow, a sadness, a pitiable condition, and he wanted to regret, he wanted to penalize himself for this. The war drums was silence forever. So, war drums were silence forever in Ashoka's ear. From that time onwards, Ashoka preaches nothing but peace. So it touches the Ashoka's heart, and from that time onwards he started preaching peace. He became the follower of Lord Buddha and employed his unlimited power and resources in the teachings and propagation of an ethical systems which he called dharma, a law of pity. So he wanted to use his life for the noble cause. He wanted to use his life for preaching the teachings of Lord Buddha, because he had become the follower of Lord Buddha, and he wanted to continue to spread the teaching of Lord Buddha in all over the world, and he has also started a religion called Dhamma. Dhamma means dharma. It is a Prakrit word, and in Sanskrit it is a Sanskrit word, and in Sanskrit it was known as the dharma. So he wanted to spend his life, his rest of the life he wanted to spend in teaching the peace. With the death of Ashoka, the Mauryan dynasty ceased to be a political force, though later rulers continued for a little more than 50 years. Okay, so after the death of Ashoka, the Mauryan dynasty was not so flourished, and after 50 years, after the death of 50 years of Ashoka, it continued to move, but finally the dynasty came to an end and gave way to the rise of Pushyamitra Shung in the year 187 BC. So, who ruled after the Mauryan dynasty? Which ruler started ruling? The Pushyamitra Shung started ruling on Magad in the year 187 BC. So this is this online class is especially related to Ashoka. So please listen the video carefully, make your own points, and try to complete the project on that same day. Thank you. Have a great day.